and I don't know how to play with him during his wake windows.
I have been a mom 9 times. I've had 9 different babies, and I can tell you there's pretty much 2 different types of newborns, and how you interact with them is totally different. The first one is the boring newborn, the one who's just really acclimating pretty well to the world, just looking around, chilling, trying to figure out what's going on in this planet. The other one is the high maintenance. That means they're more of a crier. Often they have reflux, that kind of stuff. They're just more high maintenance. They don't want to sleep. They're a little bit extra. And it sounds like you have a boring one, which you would think like, oh, well, that's the easier one. But easier babies are sometimes harder because you feel like you're not doing something right. But the reality is your baby is just pretty much content to be with you. You don't have to actively play nearly as much, and instead they just kind of hang out with you. Now, around here, we call the first 6 years the acid trip years, where you're basically just taking care of a tiny drunk human that slowly sobers up over time. And the irrational, crazy things that a drunk person would do, that's kind of what you're concluding that the tiny human will do as well. Now, that first year is really weird because there's no other time in life that you're truly 100% incompetent. Now, that first year of life, their babies are just these giant balls of flesh that are nearly incompetent in every way. There's nothing that they can really do for themselves other than yell about what they need without using words and hope that their caregiver figures it out. That feels risky. However, it is how the Lord planned it, and somehow in us, we know what we need to do, except we don't know what that is until we finally figure out, crack the code, which means don't be scared to try new things and to see what your baby likes. And if your baby's just content looking at you, then be content. That's okay. That's enough. You don't have to actively play. I remember with my first son, I brought a toy to the hospital thinking that he was going to need something to like look at or play with or you hold in his hands. And then I found out that he didn't even know he had hands yet. He was still learning that he like existed. And honestly, that doesn't really end until about 4 months old when they're like, oh, I exist. Oh, look, there's a floor. Oh, like, and there's just this constant learning and growing of like the fact that they exist, like they have a body, like that's all new to them. So we don't have to be so interactive thinking that they need some kind of stimulus. They really don't. Just looking at your face is enough. The lifesaver for me with both my high maintenance babies and my easier babies was getting an ergo and wearing them in a carrier, because they would have a lot of naps right on me, or they would just be looking at me. They'd be, grabbing at my face, playing with their hands, and I was always right there, but I still had my hands free to be able to get things done because I needed to exist too, and the world was still going on, and I still needed to like do things. And so an ergo was what saved me from any kind of like, I don't know, mental breakdown during that first year, because the first year of a baby's life is typically challenging. The last point I want to make, and it's going to help you throughout the rest of your parenting journey, and it's that your child has not yet experienced all of the things that you have experienced. And in order to interact with them in the level that they're at, you kind of have to step back into time to where you were at that age and think about what you would have wanted. And that's going to give you a little bit more of that innate nature of, oh, that's what I would have wanted at that point in time. That's what I would have wanted at that point in time, which is why inner child work is really important as an adult, because it helps you step back into time, into different seasons, so that you're able to meet your child where they're at. So a lot of the times we'll look at babies and be like, well, they're bored. They want to look at a screen. They're going to want to do this. They don't even know what bored means yet, because they haven't gone through all the phases of life to realize, well, you can be bored and you can watch a screen. That's why they don't need screens. It's, of course, interactive for them because it's just colors and something different, but they can enjoy just the world around them. So go ahead, give yourself grace. You're doing a great job. You're asking for help when you need it, and you're just making sure that you're doing the right thing. And that shows that you're actually going to be a wonderful mother.